Welcome to the May 1st, 2025 meeting of the City of Raleigh Design Review Commission. My name is Will Gaskins, and I'm Chair of the Commission. The Design Review Commission is a public body appointed by City Council that exercises both advisory and quasi-judicial functions. The Commission's responsibilities relate to zoning and other land use matters, as well as the visual, quality, and aesthetic characteristics of the city. Today's agenda includes requests for design alternates from the city's Unified Development Ordinance. When hearing requests for design alternates, the Commission sits as a quasi-judicial body and conducts an evidentiary hearing on the request. That means it's like a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this commission must make its decisions. The commission's decisions are constrained by the standards in the city's ordinance and the facts presented at the hearing. The commission hears and considers evidence presented at the hearing and applies the standards set forth in state law and the city's ordinance. The commission must base its decisions upon competent material and substantial evidence presented at the hearing. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preference or opinion. This meeting is open to the public and everyone is welcome to watch. However, participation in the evidentiary hearings is limited. Parties have rights to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Witnesses may testify as to facts to which they are competent to testify so long as those facts relate to the legal standards. In addition, lay or non-expert witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. For certain topics, the commission needs to hear opinion testimony from expert witnesses. These topics include projections about impacts on property values and projections about impacts on traffic safety. Okay, so as far as today's agenda goes, I believe after the cases today, just an item that's not on there, we'll also be hearing about 2 legacy project opportunities after the conclusion of our QJ portion. And then would also love to revisit chair, vice chair election since we've got a vacancy on vice chair. And with that, I believe there's a case. I believe DEA 15 is the attorney here for that case. And we'll be asking for a continuance.
Good afternoon, Commissioners Worth Mills, here on behalf of the applicant. Yes, we would like to seek a deferral to the June, I think it's 6th meeting, the first Thursday in June. We're continuing to work with transportation on different ways to solve the request that we're seeking. So that being said, if we need more time, we'll certainly be back in June to give you an update.
Looks like that's June 5th is the first Thursday, and we will be having that meeting. It's the July meeting that we need to cancel, correct? Yep. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We will now open the evidentiary hearing for DA 2-2025. Casey, if you will come introduce the case.
Pardon, Chairman. I need to recuse myself on this. I'm employed by the applicant's consultant.
Okay. I will move to recuse Commissioner Toms. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Okay. Seeing no, that carries. Thank you. Now, Casey, before you start, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
The subject property here is located at the northeast corner of West Cabarrus Street and Southwest Street. The property is zoned downtown mixed use, 20 stories, shop front frontage, and conditional use. The applicant is proposing to construct a 3-story mixed-use building comprised of approximately 29,000 square feet and with a surface parking lot. The intended uses are commercial and retail. There are 2 design alternate requests before you this evening. One to reduce the build to along West Cabarrus Street, and then also a request to reduce the build to along Southwest Street. Build to is the area where a certain amount of building facade is located along a street. In the shop front frontage, the primary street build to range is between 0 feet and 15 feet from the edge of the right-of-way, and within which that area, the building facade must comprise at least 80% of that frontage width. To grant a design alternate for build to, these 3 findings must be satisfied. With that, I am available if you have any questions, and I can hand it off to the applicant for their presentation.
Okay. Any questions from the commission? Okay. If the applicant would come forward. Applicant will now present evidence and legal arguments in support of the request. As a reminder, any evidence and argument must focus on the applicable standards. And if you, before you begin, if you would state your name.
Good afternoon,
And-
members of the commission. My name is Letitia Shapiro. I'm an attorney with Morningstar Law Group here on behalf of the applicant. Casey did a fantastic job of outlining the details of the application, and I will run through each design alternate request and the standards, presenting competent material and substantial evidence through expert witness testimony, demonstrating that each design alternate request should be granted. The design alternates are requested in order to facilitate the construction of a mixed-use building that includes ground floor retail and office. At this time, I would like to ask that the staff report and all of the materials submitted, including today's slide presentation, be admitted into the record.
So admitted, thank you.
For context, this is a small 0.76 acre site that is located at 400 West Cabarrus Street at the corner of West Cabarrus Street and Southwest Street, just southwest of the railroad. The applicant is seeking a design alternate related to the build-to requirements on West Cabarrus Street and Southwest Street. The design alternate requests are consistent with the intent of the build-to requirements. The intent of the UDO section 1.5.6 is to, 1, strengthen the street edge along the right-of-way, establishing a sense of enclosure, providing spatial definition adjacent to the street. 2, supplement the building edge by architectural elements and certain tree plantings. And 3, accommodate some flexibility in specific site design while maintaining the established street edge. The intent of UDO section 3.4.9A provides that the shopfront frontage is intended for areas where the highest level of walkability is desired. It is intended to create a Main Street type of environment. Mixed-use buildings are the primary building type allowed, and the proposed layout reinforces the spatial definition of this shopfront frontage parcel by locating the structure at the intersection of 2 public rights-of-way and strengthening the visibility of the street grid. The request related to West Cabarrus Street is a minimum of 76% building width located within the primary build-to along West Cabarrus Street, in lieu of the minimum 80% build-to requirement. The request related to Southwest Street is a minimum of 68% building width located within the primary build-to along Southwest Street, in lieu of the minimum 80% build-to requirement. The requests include both the building and the outdoor amenity length build-to, as will be discussed by the expert witness. And again, there are the 3 standards that support the request for a design alternate. 1 is the approved design alternate is consistent with the intent of the build-to regulations. 2, the approved design alternate does not substantially negatively alter the character defining street wall or establish a build-to pattern that is not harmonious with the existing build-to context. And 3, the change in the percentage of building that occupies the build-to area or increased setback does not negatively impact pedestrian access, comfort, or safety. I will note before we dive in that the requirements and standards for both requests are the same. So the information presented is going to feel a little bit repetitive as we move through each request. I will be calling Mr. Michael Vamprin of McAdams to testify in this matter, and I would like to invite Mr. Vamprin up to be sworn in, if that's okay. Can you please state your name, address, place of business, education, and experience, along with your role in the project for the commissioners?
Yes, my name is Michael Vamprin. I'm a landscape architect with McAdams. I've been practicing for about 10 years, and with the project architect and engineer, I've helped oversee these design drawings.
Before you keep going, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
At this time, I respectfully tender Mr. Michael Vamprin, an expert in the field of landscape architecture and design. Thank you. As I just mentioned, the first standard is the design alternate is consistent with the intent of the build-to regulations. For context, what is currently on the ground and what you're seeing on your screen are the current street views of West Cabarrus Street and Southwest Street. And at this time, I would like to invite Mr. Michael Vamprin, our expert witness, to provide evidence, testimony explaining the design goals and what's driving our request for relief.
Thank you, Tish. So we prepared some renderings and precedent imageries to try and help tell the story a little bit, but the parcel itself is an irregular triangular-shaped parcel. On both sides of the frontage are the railroad tracks, so kind of those arrows are pointing to the north and to the east there, and that pinch point of the parcel is bound by those railroad tracks. On Cabarrus Street, which is looking towards the right, the long-range planning is actually to close down that intersection to eliminate the at-grade railroad crossing. So vehicular and pedestrian access would actually stop there. And then long-range planning for West Street is to go underneath the railroad tracks. So at that kind of, the intersection closest to us of Southwest and Cabarrus Street, the road is about 3 feet lower than the FFE of the building. And as you approach the railroad tracks, it's about 24 foot of topographic difference. So you can see those retaining walls along the street edge kind of tell that story of how that road is going underneath the railroad tracks ultimately. And we'll cruise through these. This is just, again, the imagery of some of these overhead utility lines that are out there. That gray segmental wall was actually holding up that line. And so it will require further coordination with Duke Energy and the railroad in Raleigh to move that transmission pole. So that is one of the existing hardships out there today. This is looking to the north along Cabarrus Street, and you can see where we are not providing building within that build-to zone. We are providing ground floor pedestrian activated spaces with seat walls, hardscape material, and some type of overhead shade structure there. And you can see on the far right, that is where our sole vehicular access is proposed, as well as the surface parking lot in between the building and the railroad tracks. This is looking south, kind of from the railroad tracks, if you will. And again, this triangular parcel, we're picking that up geometry in the hardscape and that shade structure as well to kind of have that repetitive design language. We're talking about some form of outdoor activation of that, and that side is kind of that retail component of the building. Again, same view. This one's highlighting that overhead transmission line and it kind of interrupting that the facade where the building would otherwise be located. This is an enlargement of that pedestrian plaza space, showing those shade structures and how we're attempting to kind of activate the street edge in lieu of primary building facade. And then same thing here, we are placing activated outdoor amenity area spaces within that zone. And again, kind of where that circle is, there's about 12 foot of topographic change from that plaza down to the street edge. So thank you, Tish.
Thank you, Michael. So standard number 2 is the approved design alternate does not substantially negatively alter the character defining street wall or establish a build-to pattern that is not harmonious with the existing built context. Currently on your screen is an aerial view where you can see that the property is the shape of a right triangle, if you will. And from the right triangle, the property moves out and then breaks at the railroad right-of-way. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Michael Van Brun back up to provide evidence and testimony explaining the design goals that would maximize the character-defining street wall at the intersection while providing a pedestrian-friendly transition from the intersection to this railroad use and the constraints on the property driving the request for relief.
Thank you. So again, we've prepared this overlay of the current site plan, kind of highlighting where the various easements are out there. Again, to the right, you can see that railroad baluster overhead, and there's some access easements, the underground stormwater, and we're actually picking up some storm drainage from the NCDOT railroad that goes onto the site as well. So where those easements are not placed, we are putting that primary building at the intersection of Cabarrus and West Street. So we're trying to maximize where we feel is most safe for pedestrians to be, which is further away from the railroad tracks and closer to the street edge. So we have sidewalks going along all the primary facades. We weren't actually able to connect the primary mixed-use street along West Street to this facade because of that grade change, but we are still providing hardscape along the building face that would ultimately kind of lead back to that pedestrian space. I'll keep moving through these. And so again, this is that 3D overlay with the easements. The yellow is ultimately a slope easement where that retaining wall would actually be extended further into the site once that road extends through forward. And the blue is those access easements and underground stormwater easements. And so we are putting the majority, as much as we can, of the primary building facade in that build-to zone. And this is that same image where we are activating the street edge with that sidewalk, with the hardscape spaces, and with the primary building facades. And this is that same imagery kind of from the south, showing how we are putting the activated ground floor uses and activated outdoor spaces along that street edge as well.
Thank you, Michael. What you see on your screen again is the rendering depicting the site constraints driving the design alternate requests. Standard number 3 is the change in percentage of building that occupies the build-to area or increased setback does not negatively impact pedestrian access, comfort, or safety. As demonstrated, you have seen that the design alternate requests focus on the pedestrian experience and do not negatively impact pedestrian access, comfort, or safety. I would like to again invite Mr. Van Prin back up to provide evidence and testimony explaining the design goals that focus on the pedestrian experience and why they are necessary.
Thank you. We don't feel that the change in percentage of the building occupying the building area will negatively impact pedestrian access, comfort, or safety for 2 reasons. It's a relatively minor deviation from the required build-to percentage, and we're trying to focus and concentrate pedestrian access where we feel it's safer, which is further away from the railroad tracks, and ultimately at the corners of Cabarrus and West Street and along the primary building. This is just a really quick overlay to show what it would look like to fully comply with that 80% shop frontage requirement. The red is kind of a conceptual extension of the building facade and actually kind of gets outside of the parcel boundaries again because of that triangular shaped parcel. This is just an enlargement showing what that would look like. You can kind of see on the north side, it's kind of touching the railroad right of way. On the east side, it actually, with that building extension, would actually extend beyond the subject boundaries. So, thank you.
In summary, the applicant has provided competent material and substantial evidence through expert witness testimony that the approved design alternate is consistent with the intent of the build-to regulations, does not substantially negatively alter the character-defining street wall, or establish a build-to pattern that is not harmonious with the existing built context, and the change in percentage of building that occupies the build-to area or increased setback does not negatively impact pedestrian access, comfort, or safety. At this time, I would like to ask again that the staff report, all of the materials submitted, including today's slide presentation, and the testimony of the applicant's expert witness be admitted into the record. Thank you.
Received.
And that concludes our presentation this afternoon, and we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Commission questions? I'll start. Just a quick clarification on that. So the renderings and some of the plans shown in the presentation differ slightly from what's in the agenda materials. So it shows shade structures in those amenity areas, whereas the plan shows tree wells and trees. Can you just confirm which of those is?
The applicant wants to go forward with what is shown in the renderings today, okay. And the site plan is an old site plan.
Okay, so the shade structures, no trees inside of the amenity. I think there's 3 total.
Yeah, there's 2 little small trees inside them right now, but we would retool that area to show these seat walls, that little hardscape plaza spaces, and then those shade structures.
Okay. And then can you speak a little bit more about that slope easement that you talked about?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's kind of 2 walls that are shown on the plans here. That reddish wall is a fixed site wall, and that wall is actually what would be extended ultimately through to the right-of-way. They'd have to move that transmission pole, and so one wall would be removed and then one wall would be extended. So that 20-foot slope easement allows the city to come back and actually extend that slope down underneath the railroad tracks ultimately.
Okay, so theoretically that gray retaining wall could go away for a future relocation of that transmission line?
It would, yeah, it would, right, yep. And that sidewalk zone, the mixed-use streetscape would also go underneath the railroad tracks too.
Okay. Did you look at, and that, what there's in the rendering there, that will be the topography after, presumably after this, project were to be completed, correct?
Right, yes, the building would be up permanently from where the street grades were.
Okay. And the street would be at that grade as well?
That's right. Yeah, really the main area where there is an at-grade connection to the building is right at that intersection of Cabarrus and West Street. And then as it kind of cruises down, I think 24 feet, it would be a 24-foot difference between kind of where that parking lot is and where the road would be.
Okay. Did you look at any type of stair connection or other connection at that kind of more northern point of the prop?
Not with this application, because it would have to be removed ultimately when that wall were extended through.
Okay. And then, this isn't super pertinent to the request, but my understanding is that dumpster enclosure, those dumpsters would be wheeled out to the curb to be serviced. Okay.
Yeah, we actually tried to put the dashed white lines is actually, one of them's a loading zone, and then one of them's actually the trash and pickup zone. We had it actually closer to the railroad tracks, and then staff felt more comfortable moving it away to not have the trash trucks like potentially back up into the railroad tracks. But that's exactly right. It'd be stored in there and then kind of wheeled out.
Was this the higher, program of density studied on this site and just not viable?
Not that I'm aware of. This is, the applicant is on behalf of the railroad company. And so I'm not aware that there were certainly 17 stories remaining. I'm not aware of any additional studies there.
Okay. Other questions from the commission? Okay. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak today? I'm seeing none. Anything further from the applicant? Okay. I will now, hearing no additional questions or presentation of relevant facts, the commission will now close the hearing and bring the matter to the table. As a reminder, this commission is tasked with deciding if, based on the evidence presented, this proposal meets the applicable standards. This decision cannot be based on the personal preference of commission members, rather it is based on the standards and evidence. If based on its deliberation, the commission requires additional evidence, the commission will reopen the hearing. Okay, thoughts from the commission so far? Can you speak in the mic? Thank you.
Was your last question pertaining to if more of a triangular shaped edge to the building was explored?
I mean, yeah, we run into this with triangular lots, period. But yes, if, for example, the parking was covered, that entrance there, that would partly extend in that direction. I think I'll say 76% of 4% variance is pretty minor, and obviously they're creating a very nice corner there with very high quality transparency and other things. So it's pretty straightforward case to me. And then on the West Street, yeah, the topography there is just very difficult to, I'm not even sure that the intent even considers that degree of a departure of elevation, so.
Yeah, I feel like I'm with you on this one in terms of feels like a very thoughtful approach to a pretty constrictive site. And given the existing condition there, I think that the project actually is providing the intent of the build to that existing lot with outdoor spaces and amenities that would be activated and beneficial to pedestrian traffic the same way that its storefront would be. So
Yeah.
I feel like.
Cal?
I think I really appreciate the scale. While the zoning may allow 20 stories, there's not much there. There are other issues in town where it's getting to be a contentious point. So I think this is a really thoughtful proposition.
Anybody else have thoughts? Yeah, I do. I mean, the community areas seem very thoughtfully designed. Yeah, like I said, the retail, we don't have too much of that.
Keeping in with the kind of character of the warehouse district.
Yeah.
Too. It's not going to stick out of the feel of the place.
That's right. Yeah, I asked that question about the, access further north on West Street. I don't think that's a sticking point for me, but that is kind of a tricky part about this is just the permeability there. But. Okay. Someone like to make a motion? Actually, before we do that, can someone navigate us back to the intent and the findings? Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm rereading those, I think we've talked about just about all of that. So would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it as requested.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. And I'll clarify for the record here, we have 8 commissioners. So all commissioners here tonight would be participating as voting members. Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. The commission's written decision will be adopted when the minutes of this meeting are adopted, and the written decision will be provided to the applicant and other parties with right to such notice following the adoption of the decision. Thank you. Okay, we have minutes to take care of. We've got 2 minutes in the agenda materials. Have folks had a chance to review those minutes? Any needed alterations, or I'll also entertain motions to approve said minutes? Both, I believe, the first April meeting and the March 20th meeting.
Where do you want to start?
Wherever you want to start.
I'll motion to approve the minutes for March 20th as submitted.
Okay,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. And then the April 3rd? I think it was April 3rd.
Yeah, I'll also motion to approve those as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
I can also second to approve it.
Okay, you guys are busy today with the motions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, seeing, and I guess, any opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries as well. Okay, I told our next speaker that we probably wouldn't be here until 5:15, so we got a couple minutes here, and then I do want to revisit, not on the agenda, but with Commissioner Griffith's resignation a few months ago, we no longer have a vice chair. So I would love to entertain nominations for vice chair at this time. If there's anyone who would like to put their name forward or not to nominate someone else. And I'm going to nominate Commissioner Springer, if you would accept.
I'll accept the nomination.
Okay, is there anyone else that we would like to nominate this evening? Okay, seeing none.
Pretty young.
Kyle, you want to say anything?
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and approve it just for cleanliness here. So I'll move to, do we need, move to nominate and confirm Kyle as vice chair?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, all right.
I'll
Commissioner.
second it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent, that carries. Welcome aboard. Okay. Casey, do you want to come up? Any updates for us on Sir Walter planning?
I think the main update, well, not an update, reminder is to please promote the call for nominations that's active right now. I think we've only received 2 so far, which is a little low for, I mean, most of them come in towards the end, but we usually have some trickling in throughout the time, and I think we've only had 2.
But you received 1 within the first 24 hours.
I did.
Can you remind us what the window is for that?
Yes. Hang on, I don't have it in front of me, but I'll pull it up. It runs through Monday, May 12th.
Okay.
Yeah, so a couple more weeks.
So to reiterate, and I think you already sent out an email
did.
with all of the links and whatnot. If anyone can help spread the word there, either within your own firm or outside, much appreciated. We're also looking for sponsors, and we set the levels last meeting at the subcommittee meeting, so. if-
I
and those
believe that
levels-
information's live on the website now.
Okay, so we have, I forget the name of it, but let's say gold sponsor is 2,500, is that correct?
Yeah, it's the gold, and then 1,500, yeah, 1,500 is silver, and 750 is bronze.
Yep.
And
So
it
last-
is live on the website.
Yeah, so last year we had about 6,
5, 6?
5, 6 sponsors. Would love to have similar level of participation, and then we also have the beverage sponsor that we do need in order to be able to provide beverages. So if anyone knows anyone, you can also simultaneously shake trees on that front as we look for nominations as well. And I did speak with the mayor this week. She would be happy to participate this year. So I'm gonna work with her schedule just to make sure that the dates line up. But September 17th, correct, Casey?
Yeah, so planning 6 to 8, like we've done in the past.
Okay, so are we confirmed for that date and time at Dick's Chapel?
We're not officially confirmed, but we're getting the official paperwork all submitted, so, yeah. It's available. We just have to finish the paperwork. So.
Okay. I was thinking about this the other day. Gibson Play Plaza date has been announced. I wonder if it could be a fun extra draw if we could try to do some type of like 5 to 6 walking tour or something of it in advance, or 4:30 to 5:30 or something like that, just as an extra tack on while we're there. I feel like folks likely are already involved in some capacity, but thoughts on that? You guys familiar with Gibson Play Plaza? Sorry, I should have caveated that.
Yeah, but I haven't been, so I would like to.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah. Can hear some of the behind the scenes of how it was conceptualized and all that good stuff. Cool. Can probably make that happen. Anything else, Casey, on?
I guess just a reminder that the call for artists will be coming up fairly soon. That will run May 13th through June 9th. So just kind of keep that on your radar if you have networks that you might want to share that information with when the time comes, to be thinking about that.
Okay. On jury, I know we identified some people to request as guest jurors. Can you, for those that weren't there last time, is there any update on that front, or?
I have not received any update. I believe Jonathan Best was reaching out to the person, one of the potential guest jurors. I believe he has, but I haven't heard anything back about that yet.
And someone else was?
I also reached out to
Yes.
someone and got a confirmation this afternoon.
Yes,
So, yeah.
confirmation, yes.
Landscape architect.
Wonderful, thank you, Brooke.
You could just, forward that to me when you get a second. Thanks.
I have a question about the beverage sponsor. That's separate than the gold, the levels, and does that have a number attached? I'm trying to ask people about.
It has an approximate number, but it depends on what the quote is from, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is a little bit
Yeah,
of.
because the beverage sponsor has to pay for it directly with the vendor.
Okay.
It can't go through the city. So it's kind of at how much they're willing to
spend.
sponsor, right? So I think last year, we had 2 sponsors that sort of split it. But the years prior, we had a single sponsor that took care of all of it. So there's flexibility there. It just has to be all kind of paid, has to be paid through the sponsor.
Okay.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions from the commission on Sir Walter before we transition to legacy? Okay. Thanks, Casey. I just guess to set the floor here for legacy project conversation, after our last couple of meetings, I reached out to Adam Foreman, who's one of the assistant parks directors, about legacy project opportunities. So he was intending to come tonight to present on 2 potential opportunities for funding for our legacy projects related to 2 different park site projects. And we'll let him, speak more on that, but I believe he's planning to be here tonight at 5:15. So we got 6 minutes. I'm happy to recess for 5 minutes if folks want, or if there's any new business, happy to talk about that now. Okay, well, why don't we recess for 5 minutes and be back at 5:15 to 5:20. Thanks. we're going to cancel it, and what do you think? To cancel one of our meetings, should we do a motion and vote?
I
or-
believe you should, just for safekeeping.
All right, excellent. So I will move to cancel the July 3rd commission meeting if there would be a second.
I'll second it. No.
Well, Commissioner
Wanted to try it
Davis,
once.
let's do it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. And then in June, the second meeting of the month falls on the Juneteenth holiday, so city will be closed that day. So I think the thought would be pull it 1 week forward to June 12th, that Thursday. So I'm going to just pull you guys right now, if you can pull up your calendars and just see if that's a viable date. Otherwise, Casey can send out a survey, but if the 9 of us are reasonably available, I'd say we go with that date since that's available for the room.
I'm okay with it.
Works for me.
Did you say that's?
June 12th. So we'd still have the QJ June meeting the week prior, but, so we'd have back-to-back weeks meetings.
Gotcha. I can make it work. Yeah.
Does that work?
I think
You'll be gone.
I'm back on the 11th, so if nothing goes wrong with my travel, I should be about there on the 12th.
Understood.
I'm a maybe for that one.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Any other no's?
I'm a yes.
You're a yes. You're available on the 12th? Okay. Well, then I'm going to I'm going to move that we calendar our second June meeting for the 12th instead of the 19th. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. I feel like we've done a lot of motions tonight, so thank you guys for being on it. I'm going to probably call it at this point, and I'll invite Adam to come to our second meeting this month. Have anything else on the agenda for that meeting? Okay. The May 15th meeting? So more Sir Walter stuff will be on the agenda for that second meeting. So we'll add Legacy Project to that. With that, meeting is adjourned.